Sending the feet down through the ground, a little bit of a lift of pubic bone to the navel. So we feel that low belly is there, sort of supporting us in standing. And then just start to turn your ribs with nice relaxed arms. So start it nice and slowly. One side of the rib cage moving forwards, one side moving back. So it's a little rotation, just trying to keep the pelvis neutral. So imagine this rotation is happening above your belly button. Pelvis is facing forwards, feet are planted, but mostly what I want is the arms to relax. Okay, then just start to make that movement a little bit shorter and a little bit choppier as we breathe, just to get that T-spine release. Good. Keeping those arms nice and loose and relaxed and dangling to the ground. So we've got the cooked spaghetti arms and keeping your head in the center. Good. Keep that going for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then we're going to take that into our big rotation. So this time the head is going to turn and look over the shoulder. The arms are going to wrap around the body as we find that rotation. Your knees can bend as well. So as you rotate, do a little soft bend of the knees. And just focus on that foot that you're rotating away from and make sure you're not rolling to the inside of that foot. So whichever foot you rotate away from, make sure it's not sort of doing this. The knee is not coming in towards the midline. So we're keeping that energy to the outer bands of the feet, the outer bands of the legs. Good. And we're just sort of winding up the tissues and then springing and sort of releasing them back to center. So every time we find our center, we should stand a little bit taller. Good. And just breathe. Doesn't really matter where you take the in and the exhale, just as long as you are doing both. Good. Let's do one more to each side. We'll rotate, bring it back to the center, keep the legs wide, and we're going to reach one arm down the side, take our side bend as you inhale this time, and as you exhale, pulling in and up. Good. And then let the arm hang on the other side. Good. So we're reaching one arm heavy down the side of the thigh. And then the ear that's lifting, feel like it's just gently floating up to the ceiling. What we don't want to do is hang the weight of the head off the spine as we side bend. Side bending really is integral. We side bend and rotate when we walk. So it should feel like you're opening the space between your hip and your rib. And we take the inhale so we can then breathe into that. Good. Get that nice stretch. Let's do one more to each side. Inhale to side bend, exhale to stand. One more time. Inhale, side bend, exhale to stand. Good, really nice. So I'm going to turn to the side. Feet are going to come into parallel to your sit bones. And then from here, we're going to take our hinge. So just release, let it hang to the floor. So remember, we want that feeling of dropping the pubic bone heavy to the ground. Opening those sit bones, we're going to come into our hinge with a little knee bend. And we're going to sweep the arms forwards as we hinge, bring them back to your side as you stand. So release the pubic bone, open those sit bones, lengthen the belly as you come forwards. Feel a little reach of your breastbone forwards. And get that idea that the tailbone then is stretching back. So we've already got that elongation for the spine. We just need to come as far forwards as we get a stretch into the back of the legs, into the hamstrings, maybe a little bit of glute stretch as we go. So you don't need to come super far. Just make sure you're not sort of rounding the spine or rounding the low spine. Think neutral spine as you come forwards. Let's do one more here. Inhale and exhale to stand. Good. From here, just take your little sway forwards and back. So rock the weight to your heels, then rock your weight to your toes. Good. Try not to lift the heels or the toes though in this one. Good, and then pause when you've got your weight a little bit ahead of your ankles. And then from there, you're just gonna lift one heel. So I'll show you from the side. I don't know why I turned to the front. Lift one heel, bend the knee forwards, roll to the toes, and we're gonna get a foot stretch. And then slowly bring the heel back and down. Okay, and I'll turn to the other side. So lift the heel, bend the knee on that same side forwards, roll to the toe pad, stretch your foot, bring it back. A little bit quicker, alternating the feet. Now what we want to try and do when we're stretching the feet is not to hitch the hips. So I'll sort of show you from a hip point of view that we don't want to lift the ankle and hitch the hip at the same time. So keep that pubic bone to navel, really just stretching through the foot, okay? And try not to come so far forwards to the toes that you start to roll the ankle outwards, okay? Just feel a nice sort of plantar stretch. Keep that low belly engagement so you're standing nice and tall when you're doing this without the hip hitching, okay? Good. Do a couple more. Just rolling through the foot as we lift the heel, stretch the foot, get it working. Let's do one more. I know I said that 4 times ago. And then from there, we should be ready to take our little calf raise or our heel raise. So when you're ready, we're thinking up to go up as we lift the heels and then slowly lowering back and down. Good. Really feeling those inner thigh muscles are engaging, so they're helping to pull the heels off the ground. It's almost like your pelvis lifts your heels rather than your heels just lifting your heels. So see if you can feel the pelvis and the heels sort of communicating, finding that direct line from the inner thighs, the inner leg muscles. Good. Lift, slowly lower, the heels kiss the ground, and then we lift again. Good. Lifting pubic bone to navel to keep the low belly there supporting us. On the next one, stay lifted. And then from here, we're going to find that same pattern with the feet. We're going to come into a running man pattern. So I'll just walk it round so I can show you from the side. So it's entirely up to you. The heel that's lowering doesn't have to touch the ground. That's a bit more challenging, or let it just brush the ground. Thinking of a nice buoyant sort of walk, so we're getting the legs nice and active. Now, if you want to add some arms to this, it'll be the opposite arm reaching forwards to the knee reaching forward. So if it feels a little bit more natural, connect the upper body to the walking lower body with just a little arm swing. Opposite arm to the forwards going knee. Keep that going for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Lift both heels, slowly lowering back to come down. Good. And it's really nice after doing sort of very controlled parallel things with the legs just to go a little bit wider. So we're going to take a little sumo squat before we come down onto the roller. You can cross your hands over the front of your chest. Let your shoulders relax down the back of your rib cage. Feet are slightly turned out, sort of roughly at 45-degree angles. And then from here, as you inhale, we're going to separate the knees a little bit wider, keeping the spine nice and tall. And as you exhale, come up to standing. So really feel again that the pubic bone gets heavy, starts to drop to the ground. The sit bones open, the knees widen. Don't come down super low that you feel that you're squashing your ankle joint, so it can just be a little release of the knee and then to stand. Just come down to where you feel is appropriate for you. But we do want this feeling when we come up to standing again, that those inner thigh muscles are kind of pulling the pelvis together and up. Good. Inhale to squat, exhale to stand. Good. Let's do one more. Hold that squat. And then just see if from there you can lift your heels, roll onto the big toe ball, and then lower the heels down. 2 more. Lift the heels. Keep that controlled. Oh, I've got a little leg shake and lower. 1 more time. Lift those heels. Lower it down. Exhale to stand. Good. I'm going to come to the back edge of my mat. We all know I love a roll down. Really good way to stretch out the lumbar tissue. So we're going to take a roll down, have your rollers ready to hand. We're going to come down and lay on those in a moment. So again, just make sure your weight is towards the front of your foot because we're going to roll over the feet. And then from there, as you exhale, nod the chin, rolling through the spine and scooping that belly. So we do need a little bit of belly pulling up and over, just so we're supporting the spine as we go down. We inhale at the bottom of the roll down. And as you exhale, we press down a little bit through the feet. Feel the pelvis rolling forwards and restacking till the head rolls back on top. And again, this time hold in the roll down. Nod, scoop. Feel that belly scooping all the way down. Hold. Give yourself a little yes nod, just to release any neck tension. Give yourself a little no nod. Take an inhale across the back body tissues, and as you exhale, press down, scoop the belly, and rolling on up. This time we're going to hold again in the roll down. We're going to do a little weight shift in the roll down. So scooping, bending those knees, letting the head hang. Now bend your knees enough. Let me just move this so you can see my fingers. That you can put the tips of your fingers onto the ground, and then from there, or if you want a flat of your hand, you can come down a little bit lower. I like the tips of the fingers. Then from there, can we just start to take a little circle around? So we're shifting our weight through the feet individually and then through the hands. And it usually highlights some areas then that we need to take a little stretch. So we're just shifting our weight round in that circle. And then let's go around the other way. Good. Circling round, exploring that weight bearing. Notice how it feels to change. Does it feel a little bit less balanced, a little bit more balanced? Good. Bring yourself to the center and then bend your knees, walking on down to the mat. Grab the roller and then come and sit yourself on the end of the roller. So right to that front edge of the roller. If you need a head block, have your head block ready into hand. And then from there, just start to slowly roll your spine and your body, maybe bring the body as well as the spine, all the way onto the roller. And then just make those adjustments, okay? So we never get onto the roller in that sort of optimal position. It takes a little time to sort of lengthen the spine, organize the pelvis, organize that space between your shoulder blades, and then sort of checking out the feet. Where are they placed? Could they be a little bit closer? Are they in parallel? And if you do find balance on the rollers a bit of a challenge, to start with, just you could walk your feet out just a little bit wider than your sit bones. So when the feet are wider, we've got that bigger base of support. So just go with where you feel balanced. Hands are going to rest lightly on the mat. So try not to let the hands and shoulders try and squeeze you onto the roller. Just breathe and allow your back body tissues to settle onto the roller with gravity. So thinking about those ribs meeting the roller. Think about the back of your pelvis, top and back of the pelvis, letting go of any of that tension around the hip flexors. Our hip flexors want to dominate all the time. They kind of permanently on a state of on. So just let them relax. We don't need them here. They can soften. So think of the front of the pelvis kind of opening and releasing to the ceiling. And then from there, just start to rock your weight from side to side. And maybe take an exhale as you shift your weight over to one foot and one hand on the mat. And then inhale across the center. And then exhale to the other side. So the spine just starts to realign gently on the roller when we do this. It also sort of gives a little communication to our deep stabilizing muscles of the core. They sort of work when they're functioning well automatically for us, really. So when you shift to one side, notice there's a little bit of tensioning deep in that belly system. Good. Nice. And then just start to come across that middle and think about where you're as even as you can possibly be, even weight between your feet, evenly placed on the roller, and then from there, float your arms up to the ceiling, just to shoulder height. So when we get up here, we shouldn't be in this position with the arms back too far. They want to be on a slight forwards diagonal. And it should feel like the hands could plug into the shoulder blades. So we don't feel the weight of the arms when they're lifted to the ceiling. And then from here, we're going to take our protraction of the shoulder blades as you inhale. The arms glide and reach to the ceiling. And as you exhale, come through your neutral and do a little squeeze onto the roller. Inhale to reach. Exhale to retract, collarbones open to the ceiling. And then through into protraction. So alternating between the two. I would maybe suggest an inhale as you reach to the ceiling and that exhale to retract. Just take care in the retraction that your ribs aren't sort of popping off the roller. Good. So keeping all those 12 ribs as best as you can and the 12 rib vertebrae connected to your roller. Good. Let's do one more protraction, retraction. Inhale to reach, exhale, retract. And then we're going to find our neutral position. So making sure those shoulder blades feel like they're just slightly coming around the rib cage. They're not collapsing back to the floor. So it's a little bit of work to keep those shoulder blades in neutral. And then as you inhale, take the arms back and overhead, keeping those ribs in place. And as you exhale, take the arms forward till they're just hovering by your side. Good. Inhale, take the arms back. And exhale, take the arms forward. Softly spreading the fingers. And just really think of the movement of the arms coming from the shoulder blades. There's a little bit of assistance from the collarbones as well for the arms to move in this pattern. So just make sure the collarbones feel like they've got space to move. Your chest is open to the ceiling. And just take a breath where you feel you need to stabilize. So which breath helps you to stabilize the ribs on the roller the best? For me, it's the exhale to take the arms back and the inhale forward. But you could try it the other way. Good. Let's go into a single arm pattern. So single marching arms, they meet in the middle. And that just starts again to sort of wake up that oblique system. So you might feel those side belly muscles, if you like, again, just kicking in a little bit as we alternate with our marching arm pattern. Again, keeping space in the collarbones, a glide from the shoulder blades. Really nice. And the next time the arms meet in the middle, you're going to hold there. We're going to take it straight into arm circles. So both arms are going to go back. And then they're going to reach out to the side and then come back in towards the body. So we're taking them up in parallel above the head. As you inhale, maybe this time, and exhale to draw them in by your side. Really feeling that wherever the arms are reaching, the shoulder blades are reaching with them. So the shoulder blades and the arms are working together. We shouldn't really feel the weight of the arms too much here. It is a really good way of seeing if we've got any tension that needs releasing around the thoracic spine. So you might feel that as the arms start to move. There's maybe a few little tender areas. The next time the arms are in at your side body, hold there. And then as you inhale, open the arms out to the side and exhale up and over. Good. Keep that nice and flowing and fluid. So we're really releasing the arms on a Monday morning, but still feeling that little connection with our arms to the core. So check in with the ribs and the pelvis, make sure that's staying stable and nice and neutral as we're mobilizing the shoulders. Good. Last time. Nice. So as the arms come down by your side this time, go back to our arm arc pattern. So it's just the straight arms moving forwards and back. But this time, could we put a little chest lift in our mind? So remember, if the chest lift isn't feeling good today, and maybe just feel the pattern of it, that can be enough. But start to put that idea in your mind that as the arms reach forward, we can depress the rib cage a little bit, and the arms reaching long can pick up the head, neck, and shoulders, and we come into a little chest lift, and then bring the spine back down on the roller, let the arms follow. And again, reaching the arms forwards, let those nice long arms pick up the back of the body like the crest of that wave. And then inhale, take them back and overhead. Exhale, up and over. Now we should be feeling a little bit of that low belly support. Make sure your pelvis isn't squeezing back towards your ribs. So can we keep the pelvis nice and neutral? Think of the pelvis as the anchor to the roller. Let's do one more. Exhale, up and over. Good. This time, bring the spine down. Let the arms relax on the floor. And we're going to have a little look at tabletop position. So we're going to start with our marching foot pattern. So you're going to press one foot down. Start to feel again, as soon as you ask one foot to gently press in the mat, we get that low belly connection, or hopefully we do. The opposite foot then feels like maybe the heel is a bit lighter, or the foot can hover off the mat. Notice one connection tends to be a little bit stronger. My right foot is rubbish at pressing into the mat, where my left foot not so much. Okay, so I have to press and find that connection, work a little bit harder with the right foot pressing than I do with the left. So notice that, it might be the opposite foot for you. Once your feet have started hovering fully, then we're going to sweep into tabletop position. And we're going to exhale, place it back down, keeping neutral on the roller. And then the foot that just pressed down, came down, is going to press to release the opposite foot. And we're sweeping up from the back of the thigh. Good. Exhale, place it down. And then just start to march from foot to foot, alternating our tabletop position. Now, once you've found the pattern of the movement with the legs, then just start to focus a little bit more on the parts that are stabilizing for you, okay? So once we've got the mobilizing part all sorted, we can then sort of focus on, could I have a little bit more stability? Do I need to engage my low belly a little bit more? Do I need to find my ribs? Make sure that foot that's left behind is still pressing. But one part that we don't want to be doing this for us is our arms and shoulders. So are they still relaxed? We need this support to come from the core. On the next one, bring your leg into tabletop position and hold there. And we're going to see if we can bring the second leg to join it as we exhale. Good. Now let your thigh bones just drop back a little bit closer to the torso, just a little bit, so it doesn't feel like our leg muscles are holding our legs up there in space. It feels like the legs are dropping down into the hip socket and the pelvis. Good. Then could you relax your arms a little bit? So if you are squeezing a little bit with the shoulders, could we release them here? Find that comfortable position for your thigh bones. And then when you're ready, we're going to add a little toe tap. So as you exhale, we're going to take one foot like it's going to tap the mat. It doesn't have to fully get down there. And then inhale, sweep it up. Exhale to switch. So I'm not going to take my foot to the floor. What I want to feel is that I'm not tensioning the front of my pelvis. My hip flexors aren't dominating. I do want to feel that sort of low belly activation. This is a core control exercise, so we should feel the core. And we should feel that we've got enough elastic spring in the legs to sort of bring them up with a sort of springy, sort of bouncy quality. Maybe not bouncy, but a springy quality. So they can sweep back up relatively easily. The effort's on the down. Exhale to tap. Inhale to float up and lift. Good. Let's do a couple more. If you're starting to shake or fatigue, just bring your feet back down to the mat. Let's do one more to each side. Exhale, tap. And last time. and lift this time. Exhale, take your foot all the way to the floor, and then take the second to join it. Good. And then from here, we're going to take a nice dismount, a plop off the side of the roller, and then bring yourself just down onto your mat or onto the ground. Good. And then just feel that lovely sort of lightness through the whole system. The pelvis should feel like it's found a lovely neutral position to sit in. Nice. So from here, take the roller, and we're going to place the roller underneath the feet. So you're going to bring the roller to your feet, placing the arch of the foot just on top of the roller. And we've got a nice neutral position now, so we're going to see if we can maintain that. Now I'd like you to press one foot down onto the roller, and then bring, so let's go with left foot pressing right foot in tabletop. Okay, bring your arms to the ceiling, and we're going to do our little single leg push and pull of the roller, and we're going to add some arms to this. So as you start to press your foot down onto the roller, you're going to push it away. It will roll up the back of the thigh, but from there, I want you to take the same arm as leg forwards and down, and the opposite arm can go back a little bit. And then press down onto the roller with the back of the calf muscle, and then pull the roller back in, and the arms come back to position. So, and again, press down, push the roller away on that single leg. The same arm reaches forwards, and the opposite arm goes back. And then bring it back to the start position. Good. So inhale to extend the arms and the leg. Exhale to feel that sort of diagonal connection across the core, pulling the leg and the arm back into the center. Exhale, press down, push. Opening up the front of the hips to the ceiling, and then exhale, pull back in. Good, let's do 3 more. Press down, push on that single leg. You really got to get that kind of push and pull and that little press. So we've got control of the roller. So I sort of imagine that the roller is pushing against a bit of resistance that I'm creating for it. Otherwise it can feel too passive. We've got 1 more after this, then we're going to change sides. Last time. And pull back in. Good. Just bring the arms down for a moment, let them have a little rest. And then we're going to change to the other side. So I'm going to just check in with my pelvis before I switch my tabletop position, make sure it's in a neutral. And then press down into the right foot, bring the left leg into tabletop position. Float the arms up to the ceiling. So this time as we press down and push through the roller for that little single leg, it's the right arm moving forward and down. The left arm's going to go back. And then as we exhale, we pull back in. So we've got an inhale to press down, push away with control. So slow that movement down. Maybe imagine that your roller is kind of moving through a sticky surface, or it's got a little bit of resistance, like a reformer spring on it. Exhale to center. Press down, push again. This is my right leg, so it's not my most connected leg. So I have to work a little bit harder on the side to keep that connection to the roller. You need those pushing and pulling forces with a little press and heaviness with the leg or the foot on the roller. 2 more. Inhale, extend. Exhale, return. Last time. Press and push. Good. Bring it back in. Place both feet back on the roller. Bring your arms down by your side. Now, I know that bridging on the roller isn't for everyone. So if you want to just get rid of the roller for the bridge, you can bring your feet back to the mat. If you want to challenge the bridge today on the roller, that's fine. But, you know, challenge, but don't compromise. So if it doesn't feel great on the roller, then just get rid of the roller, bring your feet onto the ground. Okay, so if your feet are on the ground and we're bridging, then we do want that feeling of articulation of the spine. So if your feet are down, it'll be a roll back into 12 with that sort of deep, soft belly scoop. pressing down into your feet, reaching out through the knees and the thighs and feeling the spine sort of articulating to take you up there with the foot press. And as you exhale, you come down piece by piece all the way to neutral. With the roller on the lift, just on the lift though, we don't want to feel that we're articulating the spine. It is more a sense of lift up and then reach over. And then if we can find that feeling, then it doesn't feel super hamstringy, it doesn't feel too tense in your low back. And we also need the feeling that the roller is stable enough that we can press our feet down on it. So if you are going onto the roller, you're going to press the feet down, feel the pelvis then slightly unweight itself from the mat. It won't be a massive amount, but it will feel a little bit like a sense of lift. And then press the feet down and send your knees straight up and over, okay? Knees reaching over the shins and then the feet. And then on the roller, bring the arms up to the ceiling. And exhale, we do articulate the spine on the way down. Good. So feeling like your tailbone's trying to touch the roller. And again, press your feet. If you're on the roller, directly down and then think pelvis is going to lift straight up and reach forward. Good. Exhale to take it down. Soften through that breastbone, soften through the ribs. All the way, make sure you meet neutral at the bottom. And again, press your feet down. Send your knees over your shins and ankles, so think of a lift rather than articulation. And then exhale, soften down through the ribs, lengthening the spine, either on the roller or the mat. Let's just do one more. But we're going to hold in whichever bridge we've chosen. So if you're with your feet on the floor, could we do a lift of lower of the heels again for 6? And on the roller, if you're on the roller, we're going to do a little pull of the heels towards the sit bone, and then a little push into plantar flexion. Exhale to pull, inhale to push. Good. Pull and push. If you're on the floor with your feet, we're going to do a lift and lower. When you've done your 6, bring your heels down and bring your spine all the way down. Take your hug in. If you're on the roller, we've got one more after this. Pull, push, come back to your start position, and then as you exhale, slowly melting all the way down to neutral. Good. And then from there, we're just going to get rid of the roller just for a second. Bring the arms down. We're going to take our feet wider. So again, when we've done sort of controlled parallel stuff, it's nice to go wider with the feet, give the legs a little bit of a rest. And then from there, we're going to take our wide leg side to side. So traveling through the feet to the inside and outside sole, alternating. You can take your arms out a little bit wider so we can easily anchor down through the opposite shoulder. Good. And just stretching out after the bridge. Okay, so releasing any tension off the low back and or the hip flexors, they get a nice stretch in this position. Good. One more time. And then bring it back to center. Let's take an assisted roll up to bring us up to sitting. So one leg into tabletop, second leg to join it, sliding the hands up the back of the thighs to find that lovely little groove at the hamstrings. Or give your feet a little shake so to make sure that the feet are sort of feeling a little bit heavier. And then to come up into the assisted roll up, press the thighs forward into your hands, okay? Once the back of the legs connects to the arms, the chest lift should start to happen. And then think of your feet sort of reaching for the ground. Bring us all the way up into sitting. And then if you pull into the back of the thighs, we can sit up, lift the breastbone, and take that sort of counter stretch into a little extension. And then we're going to bring the roller to the back of the ribs, just below the tips of the shoulder blades. Feet again in line with your sit bones. And what I like to do here is, because it's hard to find neutral when we've propped ourselves into that semi-reclined position, is just sort of press the feet down, lengthen the pelvis a little bit, so you could even give a little stroke up the back of the legs and then plop it back down again. And then do that one more time. A little press into the feet, so lengthen the pelvis, and then plop it back down again. It should find an easier neutral, okay? From here, we're going to take the hands to support the back of the head. Thumbs at the base of your skull, fingers interlacing above it. And then just wrapping the elbows round into your peripheral vision, okay? So it shouldn't feel like you've sort of squeezed your head like you're squeezing a nut. It's just a wrap around so the shoulder blades protract. So that's what we want in flexion, is that little bit of protraction from the shoulder blades. It offers a flexion of the spine. And then from here, we're going to take an inhale. We're going to go back and extend over the roller. And as you extend, I want you to slowly open your elbows, really slowly. Remember, as we go over into extension, we want this idea that we're holding an apple under our chin. So we've got a double chin, sadly, sorry about that. A double chin as we go over. So we get a chest stretch and a little pec opening. And then as you exhale and come back up and over, the elbows are going to slowly come back around into that peripheral vision, shoulder blades come back into protraction. So as you inhale, extend your spine over the roller, slowly, slowly. Match the speed of the elbows opening with the speed that the spine is draping over the roller. And then exhale, up and over, elbows in your eye line at the top. Good. 2 more of those with a little chest stretch. It's really nice to get those pecs opening. You maybe notice that one side of the pectoralis, or one pectoralis even, we got 2, feels a little bit stiffer. So don't try and force it open, just go to where it feels like it's getting a reasonably comfortable stretch. 1 more. Opening the elbows as you go. Exhale, up and over. Good, really nice. Now hold in that semi-reclined position. From here, we're going to take a little rotation. So I want you to look towards your left elbow. Now what you need to try and do is stay lifted. So I imagine that the crown of my head is reaching upwards. So even when I find rotation, I want to feel that the crown of my head is kind of turning, like there's a screw turning it at the ceiling. So when you rotate around, you don't go back into extension, okay? We're going flexion into rotation, okay? So from here, just start to look around to your left elbow. Remember, wherever we look, the spine eventually follows. That's how we learn to get up and crawl and walk in the first place, is by using the direction of the head. And then go and look towards the opposite elbow. And just be really mindful that you're not pulling your head around, okay? You're looking where you want to go and the spine follows. The hands are just supporting the head. Take an easy rotation where it's easy to stabilize the pelvis. You just maybe feel a little bit of the obliques again waking up. It's really good to wake that oblique system up, that deep stabilizing system. And it doesn't really matter if you inhale to rotate and exhale to center. Just so long as you are breathing. Sometimes when we find rotation, it can feel a little bit burning around the abs and then we forget to breathe. So make sure that you are breathing. Bring it back to the center on the next one. Now we're going to add on to this. So what I'd like you to do is bring the right, if I say the right leg, and look, that was my left leg quite clearly. Bring the left leg into tabletop position and then extend your right leg along the mat, okay? So it doesn't matter with the right leg if the toes are pointed or the heel is reaching forward, whichever makes you feel that you can open your hip on that right side to the ceiling a little bit easier. Good. And then we're going to do 4 little crisscrosses to the left. So you're going to look towards the left elbow. The right elbow is going to start to come around and it's going to come towards the left knee. Now my right elbow, left knee are not going to touch, and that's fine. Come back to the center. Good. And again, look towards that left elbow. As you bring the right elbow round, it moves towards that left knee that's in tabletop. Just make sure the left knee, the left leg is not crossing your midline. So the elbow's got to find the knee. The knee isn't allowed to find the elbow. Good. One more on this side. Little bit more loaded. Good. Come back to the center. Bring the left foot down. Slide the right leg in. You're going to switch. We've got 4 on the other side. So actually press down into the left foot. Bring the right leg into tabletop. Slide the left leg along the floor. So either point through the toes or reach through the heels. Good. This time we're looking round towards the right elbow. The left elbow is going to come around. And then try and find that right knee. Remember, the right knee is not allowed to cross the midline. It's going to stay in parallel. And this time, maybe we do want an exhale to rotate and an inhale to center. Looking towards that elbow. Bring it back. Last time. Rotate around. Good. Bring it back to the center. Nice. Bring that leg down. Slide the other leg in. And then we're going to come into an easy side saddle position. So if you want a bit of propping for this, remember the propping goes underneath the pelvic half of the externally rotated leg. The top leg can just be in an easy position. Go as easy as you can. We're going to extend this leg out anyway, so it takes the pressure off the hips. So from here, have the roller to your side. Place your hand on top of the roller and just give your thumb a wriggle. So if your eye line's looking forwards, give your thumb a wriggle and you should be able to see your thumb out of the corner of your eye. So your hand's a little bit further forwards than your torso. Collarbone is open. This top arm for a moment can rest. Okay, so we're going to press down and just sort of do an easy push away of the roller. So about opening the bottom armpit, and then you can sort of extend that leg along the mat, and then exhale, pull it back in, and bring that top leg back in. Good. Keeping the collarbones, bones equally wide, and we sense an up and over, extending the top leg, and then exhale, bring it in. Good. And again, press down, push, opening up that bottom armpit as we open up the top hip and pull back in. Good. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, press down, push and roll. Exhale to pull back in. Good. 1 more time on this side. Inhale to open and exhale to pull it back in. Good. Really nice. And then let's go to the other side. So we're switching the leg position. Over. You'll find one way is slightly more comfortable or less uncomfortable than the other. Placing the hand on top of the roller, give your thumb a little wriggle, make sure you can see it out of the corner of your eye, and then press down, opening the armpit, pushing away nice and easy. Extend that top leg, and then pull back in. Good. Press down, push and roll. Extend that top leg, feel it reaching out from that pelvic half, nice open hip position. Exhale to pull. Inhale to send the roller away. And again, the roller is going to roll up the back of the arm a little bit. It's going to have to. So you get a little inner arm massage on the way. Just noticing I've got a bit of tension in there. Ow. In the tricep. And let's do 1 more. Press down, push and roll. Extend the top leg, really reaching. So the spine feels like it's reaching away from your foot. Good. And then pull back in. Turn to face the roller now in a quadruped, so the hands are going to go on top of the roller. Again, if that feels super unstable, bring your hands down onto the mat. What I like about quadruped on the roller is it can help to keep the compression out of the wrist, which is something we all struggle with a little bit in weight bearing, I think. So heel of the hands is on the top of the roller, and then if I push slightly so the heel of the hands just rolls over the apex, it takes that compression line off the wrist. Then adjust your knees so they're under your pelvis, toes tucked under. So we're on those big toe pads. And then from there, we're just going to do our little hinge, sit back towards the feet, sit bones open, and feel like your sit bones are trying to reach past your heels. So we keep that neutral spine. So when we sit back, you don't want to tuck the pelvis. Okay, we're keeping neutral. Inhale to sit back, exhale to come forward. So we're just exploring really weight bearing between the feet and knees and then a little bit with the shoulders. So how far you come back and how far you go forwards is entirely up to you. Go with what feels good. What these weight shifts in quadruped are really good for, in my opinion, is to help us better with hip flexion. So you should feel like your thigh bones are kind of sinking deep into the glutes or into the two pelvic halves. So it encourages better squat patterns. As you sit back with the toes tucked under, we get a nice sole of the foot stretch. Inhale, sit back, exhale to come forwards, good. And just start making that movement a little bit smaller and a little bit smaller till you feel you've got that sort of, it's not quite an even distribution of weight. You want to feel that there's a little bit more weight dropping into your feet. Okay, so your legs, your most powerful muscle groups, belly, and your glutes, I'll remember the name of them in a minute, are there supporting us, okay? And then from there, we're going to do a single arm reach forward and then bring it back to the roller. So I just feel that there's a little press down of the hand that's staying behind and it releases the other arm forward. Now, what I want you to feel, if you can, is that there's an easy sweep of the arm and easy support from the shoulder, but there's a fair bit of work happening in the back of your legs, in your glutes. And if you're not quite feeling that, then just shift your weight a little bit closer to your feet. And then when one arm leaves the roller, you should get those glutes sort of firing and ready to support you, okay? Let's do one more to each side. Reach. Let's do two more because I sort of lost my thread of conversation and what I was doing. There we go. Bring it back. Okay, so this time we're just going to do the legs without the arms. So this time we want to press down a little bit with both of the hands on the roller, just a little bit. So we got that stability from the shoulders. Check in with your ribs, make sure they're not hanging to the floor. They're sort of pulling together and slightly forwards and up. And then from there, press down into both hands a little bit, slide your right leg back, keep the toes on the floor for a moment. Okay, so from here, check in with all those points, feel a little reach through the heel. So feel a heel stretch. And then from there, can you just point the toes? So we release the foot from the ground. And if you've got a little bit more to give, lift out of the standing limbs. Can you lengthen that leg and get the foot to hover up a little bit more? Tuck the toes under, slide the knee back in. And again, press down with both hands, tuck the toes under. Sense a little reach through the heel, so we get that lovely back of the leg stretch. The heel is reaching to the skirting board behind it. And then from there, release and point your toes, lengthen that leg. So feel the inner upper thigh again, those adductors floating up to the ceiling, leg lengthens, tuck the toes under, slide back in. Good. Lengthen the right leg again, tuck the toes, reach through the heel, get the back of the leg stretch. And then to have the foot hovering, we just have to point the toes, lengthen the leg, let it hover up, 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 and then tuck back in, slide the leg back in. Last time. Send the leg back, tuck the toes under, reach through the heel, stretch the back of your leg. You should feel a strong calf stretch here. And then release and point the toes, lengthen, feel the inner upper thigh floating up to the ceiling, lifting out of those standing limbs, bring it back in, slide the leg in, and then take a little rest. So if you keep your hands on the roller, if you were on the roller, push the arms forwards, and curl up into that little rest stretch. Use that opportunity to breathe into the side and back of your body. Good. Last time. Good. And then come up and over. So again, if this feels too unstable for you, just take the roller away, bring your hands onto the mat. So we're going to go back to the leg extension, but we're going to take it into a plank. Okay, so I'll tell you the exercise that's coming up, just in case you do want to take the roller away, bring your hands down onto the ground. One plank. Okay, so here we go. Press down a little bit with the hands, get that shoulder support. Feel the weight is already into the back of your legs and into your feet a little bit. So to find a way onto the plank, you'll slide one leg back, tuck the toes under. Now really reach through that heel, okay? The feet are going to support us and the legs in the plank, hopefully more so. Remember, a plank is a whole body workout. We engage all our muscles and apply all 6 principles to this. Feel the spine is on that lovely long diagonal. When and if you feel ready, slide the other leg back, tuck the toes under, reach through the heels. Hold for an in and an out breath. So inhale, exhale. Can you lengthen your bridge, reach the heels back, crown of the head reaching forwards. Good. Tuck one knee and then the other. Now you can push the roller away. And take one more shell stretch. Good. Breathing in again to the side and back of your body. This time in the shell stretch, I want you to walk your hands around to one side. So we're opening up one side of the body. And then we're going to send the breath into there, into the side we're opened and stretched through. And then walk your hands around to the other side. Inhale, breathe in to the side that you've opened. Good. And then come back to the center and just take a little breath in there. Nice. So we're nearly there. We're going to come up into a high kneeling position. And the sun's come out, so I'm just going to take my jumper off. It's getting awfully warm in here again, which is good because it's going to ripen off my tomatoes. So we're going to bring the roller around to the side. So it's going to be there and ready for us in a moment, okay? I'm going to turn to face the roller. Please ignore the fact that I'm facing the roller. This is not where we're going to end up. It's just so you can see me from a side position. So before we go into our side sort of bend and lift, we're just going to prep it a little bit first. We are nearly there, people. So just come into a high kneeling position with the toes pointed. And then from here, what I'd like you to do is just do a tiny release of your pelvis into flexion. Okay, so we're going to drop the pubic bone again. The hips will start to sit back. They're only going to go back a little way. And then I want you to feel the pelvis come forward and open. And as it does that, I want you to lift your pubic bone up towards your belly button. So it feels like your ribs and hips, or ribs and pelvis, are vertically stacked. And then release, let the pubic bone drop to the floor, sit back a little bit. And then bring the pelvis forward, lift the pubic bone up. Good. And release, drop the pubic bone. Bring the pubic bone forward and lift it up towards the belly button. So we find that nice high kneeling position, open hips into extension. We tend to bias flexion because that's just the way life takes us. But when we can get the opportunity to open up the hips, it's really good. If we can get really good hip extension, we will ultimately have better hip flexion. One more time with just a little sit back. Release the pubic bone, exhale, pelvis forwards, lift the pubic bone up. So I'm going to face the front now. The rollers to the side. We've done this a few times now through lockdown and online. So make sure when you tip over, your hand's going to meet the apex of the roller. Again, you can take the roller away and meet the ground. If you want to meet a more stable surface, oh my goodness, surface. If you've got a yoga block and or a big book, a big stable book you could stack up on, you can meet that rather than the roller, okay? So choose your prop, choose your weapon, and then from here, we're gonna open the arms out to the side, find that T shape of the arms, and making sure that the shoulder blades haven't elevated here. We want the shoulder blades down the back of the ribs. We're gonna find that chest stretch again. And then from there, we're gonna find that idea of lift and tip. And as we tip over, we start to extend the top leg out. The top leg, the ankle is going to dorsiflex. Then from there, feel that you've got the pubic bone forwards and slightly lifted. And then as you inhale, start to sweep and reach the arm up and overhead. Really opening those ribs into that side bend. And then as you exhale, bring the arms back to a T. So stay in that side bend. Good. Inhale. lift, lengthen, really feel that tissue stretch. And then bring the arm back to a T. We got 2 more. Inhale, collarbones wide. Stretching out through that side body. 1 more time. This time as the arm sweeps, the top arm sweeps, we're going to give it a little bit more oomph to bring us up into our leg extended. High kneeling position with open arms. From there, before we change sides, can we get the hips a little bit more open? Can we lift the pubic bone up? Can we really open out through that standing hip? And then slide the leg in, bring the arms down. Bring the roller or your prop, yoga block, cushioning, whatever. So again, make sure that we're not flexed at the hip, that we're lifted up through the pubic bone, we're nice and open through that front chain of muscles, floating the arms up and out to the side, making sure the shoulder blades, once the arms are in position, are dropping down the ribs. From there, we're going to lift the system. We're going to tip over to the other side, start to extend the top leg out. So that dorsiflexed ankle, pubic bone open, so it should feel quite strong in the hip of the standing leg. And then we got 4 arm sweeps to take us into a side bend. And then exhale, sweep that top arm just to the ceiling. And 3 more. Inhale. So once I found the movement of the arms, then I just start to find an easier feeling of stretch. You notice I adjust my head. It's because it was hanging a little bit. So I want to feel like the head is reaching out. So I'm not feeling the weight of the head. 1 more time. This time as we sweep, we're going to take that arm and sweep it up and over to come back into our T with the leg extended. And then from there, we're going to see if we can find that hip extension again. Pubic bone lift. Good. Bring the arms down as you slide the leg back in. Well done. Take a little sit back into flexion just to release the hips. Good. So I've got my toes pointed. If you can sit down onto your feet, great. From there, just bring your hands forwards to either side of your thighs. Good. And then rock your weight towards your hands. So I'll show you from the side. So you can tuck your toes under. See if you can sit back from there. And then we're going to see if we can take a roll of the heels back towards the ground as the knees lift. We're going to place ourselves into our tube. And we're going to see if we can just focus on heels coming down, pelvis sucking up that tube to bring us into standing. Good. From there, we're just going to have a quick check-in. So take your feet a little bit wider, let your arms relax. Good. And then we're just going to find our nice, easy sort of T-spine movement. See if that's got a little bit easier to relax the arms and rotate the ribs. Let the arms come along for that ride. Good. Let's see if we've freed up a little bit of tension. Start to think about taking that into your big rotation now. So this time the arms are wrapping around the body. Good. Legs are wider. Make sure the knees aren't collapsing in. Now, if you want a little bit more, you're going to spin the arms and wrap them around. So it's the cool down so we can be a little bit more dynamic. So can the torso let the arms sort of windmill out to the side? Good. Wrapping around as we go. 1 more like this to each side. Watch that knees not collapsing in. Our feet are stable. Good. From here, we're going to inhale, take the arms up to the ceiling. So I know you lose my fingertips, but my arms are sort of trying to match the shape of my legs. So my arms are in a V, my legs are in a V, an upside down V. And then from there, I want you to take your arms over to one side. And then we're going to reach down to the ground. We're going to sweep your feet in front of you and then come up the other side. And then we're going to go the other way. So reach up and over and sweep and lift and reach and lift. Good. And again, alternating the side every time. Let's do 1 more to each side. So let the weight and gravity help you do that little sweep and reach. 1 more time. Oh, hit the windowsill. Bring the arms down. Roll the shoulders back. And roll the shoulders forwards. Thank you very much for this morning, guys. I'm so sorry for my tardiness this morning. Let me just come and